18 race days, some incredibly close matchups, and the 10 best drone racing teams in the world. It's all come to this. Welcome to Yas Mall in Abu Dhabi. We are live with the Drone Champions League Season 2 finals. Cyclone are going to get third and fourth.
Yes. Let's go.
Got him on the final turn. There it is. And that's why he's the best finisher in the DCL. We're still in front of him.
Let's go.
Finally then, we are live from Abu Dhabi. Welcome everybody, I'm Matt Andrews and this is the Drone Champions League, the World Championship for professional drone racing teams. We're in the centre of Yas Mall in the middle of Abu Dhabi in some beautifully hot weather and with some incredible pilots, the 10 best drone racing teams in the world ready to fly for you here in our DCL Split 2 finals. Can't wait till we get underway. We have an incredible stage here in Yas Mall. We have 4 pilots racing on each of our teams. Only 6 teams made it to this stage. And then we've got 2 pilots from each team are here in Abu Dhabi. And 2 pilots from each team are racing from home. A lot of excitement to get to. I'm glad to see so many of you with us here in the chat as well. And we've got a nice audience forming around us here in Abu Dhabi too. So, Split 2 finals today and tomorrow. Let's show you what we've got coming up. The league after we'd had our 18 race days and how amazing they were. First thing we need to point out is that the former world champions as of a couple of years ago, X-Blades Racing, are undefeated in split number 2. No problems at all for them. 54 points out of a possible 54. 18 wins out of 18. Nobody even managed to get a draw with them. They were undefeated in all of those matchups. Out of the other teams who all competed to be here, the top 6 teams are the ones who make it to the split finals. So that's X-Blades Racing, undefeated, you know. Then Cyclone Racing, the best of the new teams in 2023. China Dragons, qualified in the best position we've seen them do for ages. Along with SDT Perpetuum, coin from Spain. And then we have Raiden Racing and Quad Force 1 are going to be down in the elimination zone. They have got to fight their way from there. The top 4 teams, they all have 2 lives. The teams in 5th and 6th after the season, so that's Raiden and Quad Force 1. They start in the elimination zone. They will be on 1 life each. So if they lose a matchup, then they get eliminated from the tournament. And those of you who've been following the DCL for a while will know Raiden Racing and Quad Force 1 was our Split 1 final a few months ago. Raiden against Quad Force 1. Raiden were knocked down into that elimination bracket, fought through the whole tournament, eliminated loads of other teams from there, and beat Quad Force 1 in the final race of the finals. Here at Split 2's end, Raiden Racing and Quad Force 1, that is our first match in the elimination zone. Those teams are fighting for survival straight away. So we've seen a little bit about who's made it here. Let's show you who the teams picked to race. Danube and Blessed. Raiden Racing, the 2-time reigning world champions, are here with Longcat, Yuki, Vincent Irons, and IQ0. And then Quad Force 1 from America. Got to start off in that elimination zone. We've got AK Drones, Propsicle, Hyper, and QT FPV. Cyclone Racing, you've got J-Box, Zion FPV, the Ice Cheetah, and Fluorescent, who's been having a great season. We'll look forward to seeing what they can do. Cyclone Racing really turned up so far this season. And then China Dragons, like I say, the best season they've ever had. Kryson, Creator Gamer, Clone Number 1, and Ion FPV from India. Those are our pilots. Going to be matching out and scrapping for all the points here. We're going to be having the similar points that we've had before, the 4-3-2-1. We'll explain all that to you. But we've also got more races to look forward to as well. In this elimination bracket, this double elimination bracket, if you like, we've got more matchups to look forward to as we're going to be having more races between the teams. Let's show you more. So we're going to be racing 4 times between the teams instead of just 3. 4 times, 2v2, 2v2, 4v4, that's what we've been doing all season long. And then another 4v4, so extra points are available in the matchup with these 2 teams. And we're going to start off at the top of our bracket and then make our way down to the teams fighting for survival. So 4 matches for all of these, and as usual, although exclusive to the DCL, we set an enormous challenge to our pilots. We give them so little time to learn what they're doing. It's just 1 hour to learn the track. They have just finished that 1 hour up to when we went live. Here's the track that we've given them with. Starts off through a gate. Here's an ascending ladder. Going to swing through a few DCL gates. Over block trade, through 1 and then split S-ing the second. And we go a big 90-degree left turn. We're going to corkscrew 4 times. Swing around SW Project, we'll swing around Fox here. We'll go around this 5 times. 5 times is how much we have to do there. It's a quick track. It's based on the ADNEC Technology Exhibition Centre, which is a big exhibition hall here in Abu Dhabi that we hope to be visiting in the future. Say no more. But we're going to be racing around that. Tomorrow, we'll be live again from the same time here on Twitch with day 2 of this and our final 3 matchups. Semi-finals, grand final, bigger competitions, more races in those, and it'll be a different track that our pilots have to learn and race on tomorrow. And I can tell you that Shane Adams has made these as hard as he possibly can. I don't know what's got into him, but he's decided to make this quite punishing in a physical sense for our teams. So good luck to them, as this is not going to be easy. And having watched the pilots do practice earlier on and do this 1 hour of learning the tracks, I can tell you some of them are feeling the strain already and are realising, yeah, time to really turn up here and see how you can get on with it. Looking around out now, pilots are looking like they're going to get started soon. We can go into our first matchup very shortly, I hope. But let us know here in the chat who you're supporting, who you want to win. Can Raiden fight back from being down in 5th place out of our season and make it to a Split 2 title as well as the Split 1 title that they won earlier this year? Huge challenge for them. They're going to beat Quad Force 1 in the elimination bracket and then every other team as they fall into that lower bracket with them as well. X-Blades are going to be up against SDT to kick things off. That should be, I think, in most people's eyes, X-Blades being the favourite in that matchup. But 4 pilots, of course, 4 races, extra chance to get extra points in 2 big heats in all of these matchups. Cyclone and China Dragons could be very close. Those 2 teams have been swapping 2nd and 3rd and thereabouts on our leaderboard for ages now throughout Split 2. It could have been either of them in 2nd or 3rd at the end. So that's going to be a really good rivalry. That's basically a rematch of what we saw in one of the last race days of Split 2. So if you didn't see that and you want to see more action, then at another time, go and watch YouTube. But not right now, because we'd love you to stay here with us in Abu Dhabi, where hopefully we're going to get some racing for you, starting off with X-Blades against SDT Perpetuum coin. So remember, it's a double elimination bracket. Everybody in the upper side of things has 2 lives. If they lose a matchup, these 4 races with all the points added together, then they'll drop down to our elimination zone, being on only 1 life left. And our teams will be battling all the way through today. By the end of today, 3 of our 6 teams will have been eliminated. The other 3 will go into the upper brackets and lower brackets, semi-finals, and the grand final tomorrow. And there's even more races in those, as I said. So, here in Abu Dhabi, just hoping for the pilots to be ready. And we've got this really interesting challenge. Let's touch on it again. There are 4 pilots on each of our teams. 2 of them for each team are here in Abu Dhabi. And the other 2 are racing from home, as they've been doing all season. So some of our teams have got decisions. Well, all of our teams had decisions to make on who would be racing with who. And as always in the DCL, they have to decide who is going to race who in what pair before they match up with another team. They don't know who that other team is facing against them. For example, Yayu and Star 23467 will be our first 2 pilots for X-Blades Racing. And they're going to be up against Silvio and Blessed from SDT Perpetuum coin in the first of the 2v2. So what we've got here, the 2 teams, Yayu is here in Abu Dhabi, Silvio for SDT is here in Abu Dhabi, but Star 23467 and Blessed are racing from home. Most of our teams, 4 of our teams have picked to start things off by bringing pilots from home in pairs with pilots who are racing here. A couple of our teams have decided to pair it, the 2 from Abu Dhabi and then the 2 who are at home. Let's get into our first race then of Split 2. X-Blades racing against SDT Perpetuum coin, Star and Yayu in light blue, Silvio and Blessed in green, and now they'll come around the side of the block trade gate and then move their way forwards and start going around the big long left-hand turn around the A2RL gates signs before we go into the corkscrew. 4 times through that. And Star leads Yayu. Then it's Silvio and Blessed. Into the ladder, ascending ladder there before we go into this difficult switchback here and coming out through the A2RL gates and moving around the slalom to the far side of the block tray gate, going over the second one. It's still Yayu and then Star with 5 thousandths of a second or even less between them. Silvio in 3rd, Blessed in 4th. Yayu, Silvio, Star, Blessed into the ladders. Waiting for Yayu now, who's a little bit ahead of Star, maybe just starting to try to pull away. Silvio between them in second place. It's 4/10 behind Yayu as we're on lap number 3 and are making our way around the cones, near to the edges of the building. 2 180-degree turns here. Yayu, then Silvio's, then Star and Blessed way behind in 5th and 6th. Almost 5 seconds or more between our first 2 pilots and the 3rd and 4th place pilots. Weaving around the cones and then coming back towards these gates here. We've still got Yayu in front of Silvio as he climbs up through a ladder. Goes into a switchback and exits from the Yayu still in front of Silvio. The gap is about Yayu. Then Silvio. 4/10 as it's been throughout. Yayu continues to race against him. Mushes through the cones now. Goes into the first of the ladders. Ascending up, then descending down. And Silvio is gaining on Yayu. He's halved the gap between them. We've still got one more lap to go. Yayu now starts that lap. Goes right hand up the ladders. Silvio closing in on him. Trying to keep with him. Nearly half a second. Yayu over Silvio. Not much of this lap left now. Then it's Star and then it's Blessed. You're even further behind. Remember, it's 4, 3, 2 and 1 points here for the top 4 teams. Yayu with the first win in Abu Dhabi. Silvio takes second. And then Star looks comfortable to take in third. And Blessed will come in fourth. There'll be 4 and 2 points for first and third for X-Blades. And then Silvio and Blessed from SDT getting 4 points in that matchup. Yayu, Silvio, Star, Blessed. Good first race. Remember, they've only had 1 hour to practice that track, 1 hour to learn it at all. They'd never even seen the environment, the exhibition centre that we're racing in there. You can see smiles on the faces of our X-Blades pilots. That's Star racing from home. Yayu there as well, who's got our crowd around him here in Abu Dhabi. And SDT here in numbers as well. It's Silvio and Danube who are racing for them. Sea Sky and Blessed are racing from home. But they've got the team managers and captains here as well. So here it's that's the lineups we've just for their teammates of Sali 1 and Shane be taking on Danube and Sea Sky. So the 2v2s, 2 2v2s, and then a 4v4 DCL Big Heat. That's what we've had all season long, the 18 race days and challenges of Split 2 so far, and indeed Split 1. But the 4th Big Heat is going to change things around there. So remember, in the Big Heat, there's 10 points available. We occasionally get a sweep where a team will take all 10 points in it. But we're going to have 2 of those. So there's 40 points in total available across the 4 races of these matchups. So usually people go into the Big Heat maybe thinking, and in fact from chatting to a few of our teams here, the common strategy is actually, and this goes for X-Blades, is for many years we've talked about this, they'll sort of go into races thinking we don't need to win this one, we just need to outscore the others, which might sound like stating the obvious, but it means, we don't have to win every race. We just have to be really consistent and pick up lots of points elsewhere in things like the Big Heat. Cyclone, for example, who I was chatting to only yesterday, have said a similar sort of thing. They want to compete well in the Big Heats, they want to split their pilots up so they think they've got a good chance of coming first and then maybe fourth or second and third. They want to basically try and cancel out the teams and then try and swamp and get a lot of points by gathering lots of places in the Big Heats. But we have 2 Big Heats in these matchups and more, in fact, in tomorrow's racing. There'll be 3 in some of those. So loads of points available, and this sort of extra bit of strategy for our teams to think about. Do we still try and tie up in the single heats and then go for the big heat and try and get a lot of points against our oppositions there twice? Right, our race is beginning. Away we go. Sully 1 and Shane against Danube and Sea Sky. All right. Sully 1. Leads Danube. Shane, still about a half a second close to him as well. So not for much between the two X-Blades pilots. And Danube is one of the things who was between them. But now he's got caught out there and goes to third. Sea Sky having a terrible first race here in the Split 2 finals. Nearly 5 seconds behind. We won't see much of him. Sully 1 and Shane would love to just carry on as they are. And Sully 1, who's here in Abu Dhabi, and you can just see him on the right of the screen, is leading Danube and Shane and Sea Sky through the ladders now. Sully 1 in, right-hand ladder descending. That's a little bit close. Shane, who's limping a little bit, it seems, compared to Sully 1. Left-hand swing, right-hand turn. Danube comes and takes him on the start of lap number 3. Now Sully 1 swings through the A2R gates, and Shane tries to hang on to second, but there's only a tenth or so between him and Danube, and as Sully 1 goes high around the left-hand turn, we go back on board with Shane in second, who's got Danube right behind him. You can see the concentration on the side of the screen there from Danube. Into the ladder, left hand up, right hand down. Sully 1 stays nearly 2 seconds ahead. Shane tries to get away from Danube, and an extra tenth or two has appeared between them. Danube making a good route into that turn. Shane trying to hang on to it, and Sully 1 just tucking in behind him still. Okay, Sully 1 leads through the corkscrews. 2.5 seconds ahead of Danube. Maybe about 2 seconds ahead of Danube. Then it's Shane, 2 seconds behind them, and Sea Sky. I said we wouldn't see much of him. We're not going to see anything of him at all, it would appear. Sully 1 drops down, left, right, out of that gate again. That connection of gates is really difficult. Now Sully 1 through the block trades, and over the top of this one comes Danube, who's up in a second as Shane has had a terrible moment and has lost loads of time and gone solidly back into third. It's 4 seconds between Danube and Shane, and Sully 1 is surely too far ahead for Shane to go and Danube to go and catch him. Sully 1 to the finish, 5 laps done, a good win for him. 5.5 seconds, maybe between him and his teammate. Danube is 3 seconds behind him. SDT well beaten there in the second matchup. It'll be another 6 points for X-Blades. And 4 points for SDT. 6-4 and 6-4 again. So now we'll go to the DCL Big Heat. All 8 pilots are going to be racing in this all together. All 8 pilots will be coming for a match-up very shortly. So big heats, like I said, the tactics in that can be quite different now, as the teams will not just have one opportunity to try and get loads of points in this, but 2 as well. And a 10-0 clean sweep is a bit unusual. It doesn't happen very often at all. Particularly unlikely to happen with the calibre of the 6 teams that we've got here in Abu Dhabi. So nobody's likely to get all 10. But if people are really struggling with this track, as we expected, then yeah, they might struggle to get off and keep all the points. But we're doing it twice. So one team, if they can get a big sweep over the other team, can you imagine if they do it twice? This thing could turn into a rout. Let us know who you think can win. Can the big heats turn things around for SDT? I will tell you that the pilots here, all 12 of them, everybody's been in really good spirits. Everybody's been pretty relaxed until about 2 hours ago, 7 p.m. local time, when we opened training and presented the track to everybody. And then some pilots got very relaxed still and were enjoying flying around, and a few pilots were not quite so happy. I won't name names. God, I'm so tempted to name names. I won't name names. But SDT have been looking pretty relaxed the whole time. So has Yayu and Sali One. We've had a lot of people gathering around our stand and trying to chat to the pilots. Yayu was giving his controller to a load of kids to race on and try out the game and like proper controller, proper settings. I don't know if he uses those deadly thumbsticks. You know the things I mean. It's the big heat, the first one with a 12-8 lead of X-Blades over SDT. Sali One and Shane start things off. Danube again, quickest of the pilots from SDT. Yayu behind him, but gaining on him and now trying to take Danube. Danube and Yayu switching places. This is Shane who's dropped down to third as Yayu has passed him. Can Danube pass him as well? He's extremely close to doing so. Silvio is a fraction behind them. Star very, very close to them all as well. And then it's Blessed, and then it's Sea Sky. Yayu, 2/10, then Shane, about 2/10, and Sali 1, and then a tiny bit. And Danube's trying to stay with them, but Danube is starting to lose ground now. 3 X-Blades pilots going around the left-hand turn and into the corkscrew, which can turn the whole thing upside down. Danube moves, 4th, 2nd, 3rd. Scrapping around there, and we're only on lap number 2. Danube in a strong position, and Silvio, who's here with him in Abu Dhabi, seems like he's starting to feel the urge to get involved too. Then it's Star and Yayu in a terrible position for him, 5 seconds behind in 6th. Blessed and Sea Sky racing from home for SDT down a long way at the back and falling further behind in 3rd. Shane, then Sali 1, and then Danube splitting them again on lap number 3 into the corkscrews, which was really good for Danube earlier. Sali 1 still in 2nd. Shane 1/10 of a second ahead of him. Then Silvio still in 3rd. Danube not competing quite as strongly as he was earlier. He's slipping in and out to 4th place. Right now he's still in the scoring position, 2nd and 3rd. Sali 1 half a second. Silvio about half a second. Then Shane. Can Danube move up on Shane? Can Silvio try and catch Sali 1? He's gaining on him. It's 3/10 between them, and he's got a lap and a little bit more to do. Into the ladders. We know how good these pilots are on the ladders. Sali 1 particularly strong on them. Danube and Silvio trying to move up. Danube fighting with Shane and moving back and forth into 3rd and 4th, the last of the scoring positions again. Sali 1 still just ahead of Silvio, but it's a smaller gap than it was. And Silvio's making the turns and trying to gain on him on the inside as they go around the pylons. 2/10 of a second, and Silvio hits the pylon, and that's going to ruin things for him as he goes from 2nd to 3rd to 4th, and it's going to be too late in the race now unless we have a major problem for Sali 1. 8/10 of a second, Sali 1 over his teammate Shane, and then SDT 3rd and 4th, the 3rd race in Abu Dhabi. It's another 1-2 for X-Blades. 7 points to 3. What they'll take from that, 4 for the win, 3 for second. Cyclone's pilots are fist-bumping X-Blades for the exhibition they're putting on in front of them. We've got the 4th race yet, because it's 4 races in each of these matchups. So everybody ready to keep going? See at the top of the screen, Danube and Silvio, Yayu and Sali 1. Their teammates racing from home as well. Five laps, final matchup between these teams. The winner progresses to the nice, comfortable section of the upper bracket. The loser of these goes down to our elimination zone, and they'll be racing the loser of Raiden and Quad Force 1 later on today. Shane at the start of this thing. Danube up into 2nd, switching around 3rd and 4th with Sali 1 and Yayu early in this matchup. Few places changing around. Blessed is at the back. Sali 1 has gone to the back. It's Yayu who's taken up the pursuit instead of him. He's up into 2nd. Shane still just ahead of him by a 10th or so. Danube might be fancying a bit of it, but it's gone down to the ground and gone down to 7th place. Shane has got past him. Danube's having a terrible time with the recovery. So here we are in the middle of lap number 2. Shane, then Yayu, less than a tenth of a second between them, and then almost 2 seconds before anybody from SDT arrives, which is Silvio leading their way at the moment. He goes into the ladder, exits the first one, as Shane and Yayu are finishing the second one. Curves around the ladder. Into this complicated switchback of a gate. We need to dissect that one for you. There's 4 gates there, all joined together, and it's really hard to do. You go through the top, you split S out through the bottom, you go left and right, and then you go over the top to come out of the 4th. It makes sense when you see it. Corkscrews, 4 of them in a line, and that's working out for Star, who's trying to get a 3rd place pinch off of Silvio. It won't be all 4 clean sweep, as Sali 1 is behind 3 of SDT's pilots, although they could get into some trouble. Sali 1 will always be ready to pounce. Yayu in the lead, Shane in second, and he was very close earlier with only a few hundredths between them, but now it's more like 4 tenths. Star, another 4 tenths behind them, will go corkscrewing with X-Blaze in 1 and 2 and 3. Silvio will love to try and steal 3rd. He'd love to get a lot more than that, but Star's the only one he's looking likely to catch. Shane, though, actually gone behind him now. Little commentator's curse. First one to kick things off here in Abu Dhabi. Silvio's going to get 3rd if he can hang on there, as Shane has gone in a bump and lost a whole load of time. Silvio's caught up with Star. Yayu, then Silvio, Star, and Shane. Yayu completes the 2 ladders. Silvio within about a second of him, but very little race time to go, and Yayu gets the win over Silvio. Then it'll be Star, and then Shane gets in the top 4 for X-Blades. Blex comes in 5th. So X-Blades in 1st, 3rd, and 4th place. Another 7-3 win for them. They've won all the 4 matchups against SDT Perpetuum Coin. Quite decisively as well. They are in such incredible form coming here for the Split 2 finals. Big wins in all of those. SDT fighting for sort of 2nd and 3rd places, but never really challenging right at the front for the lead. So X-Blades are going to be the winners of our first matchup here against SDT, winning it with a score of 26-14. Remember, normally our scores are only out of 30, but we have the extra big heat putting another 10 points into the available kitty. So Yayu is going to make his way over here, and we're going to get the first chance to talk with any of the pilots. Because the winner of our first matchup, it's X-Blades. So let's squeeze you in, Yayu. Let's bring you in here. Don't forget to unmute.
Yeah, I think it's good. Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
I can hear you just about, I think, yep. Yayu, you're the first one over here in the little winner's circle. Come in a little bit more, my friend.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
You were expecting a good start?
Yeah. We were looking for this result and we had it, so yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Now, let's see. Let's focus on tomorrow and... Yeah.
Yeah. And for your pilots from home, I know you're in communications with them as well. What were you saying back and forth?
Like we got Jack, our team manager, who was like, supporting us, like push, safe, and yeah, so we pretty managed to have a clean run. We, of course, had some crash, but yeah, pretty nice run, and yeah.
Yeah, happy?
Yeah.
This has all gone as you expected in terms of a win. I know you're confident about getting the win. For the guys at home, though, are they finding it more of a challenge, or is it basically what they're used to?
What?
Well, because they're racing from home and they're not here with you.
Yeah.
That's presumably not making a great deal of difference to them.
Yeah, but like them, now it's finished and they're gonna sleep and focus on tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. You are in that comfortable spot in the bracket now, the winner's side of things, which you were as a team in Split 1.
Yeah.
All came a bit undone after that point, though.
Yeah.
So far, so good, but it's going to be different this time?
Yeah, for sure, because now it's like 4v4, and in the Split 1 it was 2v2, so yeah, totally different. We got a crazy team, so yeah, not really everything will be fine, but yeah, let's see tomorrow. And
yeah, okay. I'll let you go and get ready for who you're going to be racing later on.
Thank you.
Congratulations, first winners of today. X-Blades Racing. Don't go anywhere, we'll have more matchups live here from Abu Dhabi. Next up is going to be Cyclone Racing against China Dragons. Next matchup we've got for you are the teams who entertained us all season around the top of the leaderboard. China Dragons have been with the DCL since 2018 and had a couple of very rough seasons in real-life races pre-lockdown, but we're getting better and better through the last few years of our virtual races, and they've had the best season they've had. They were stronger in Split 1 than they'd ever been before, stronger still during the Split 2 that we've just been racing, and now that team find themselves in second on our leaderboard. That means they're lined up against a team who are third, and that's Cyclone Racing. Of the 10 teams in the DCL, 5 of them are teams who've been with us before, 5 of them are teams who joined this year, and Cyclone Racing came in, the brand new team to the DCL, and by far and away, they are the best of the newcomer teams, and they are giving the other more established long-term teams something to really think about as well. It's going to be China Dragons against Cyclone Racing in the second matchup of the Split 2 finals, live here from Abu Dhabi. So Zion FPV and the Ice Cheetah are the first pairing for Cyclone Racing. They're together here in Abu Dhabi. Then Ion FPV and Chryson are their two opponents for China Dragons. And they are racing in orange, of course, for China Dragons. Ion FPV all the way from India joining us here in Abu Dhabi. Chryson racing from home. Interestingly, Cyclone's pilots are both here. The Ice Cheetah and Zion are both here in Abu Dhabi. We've been having a good time getting to know them. And it's an interesting strategy. Teams have to pick their pairings of pilots without knowing who their opponents have picked, as I've said many times before. Zion and the Ice Cheetah have been paired by Cyclone Racing for the first 2v2 against China Dragons. Likewise, Ion FPV and Chryson have been paired up for the first 2v2 against Cyclone, but they didn't know who would be on the other side of those matchups. Zion FPV and the Ice Cheetah are both here in Abu Dhabi. Ion FPV here as well. Chryson racing from home. Cyclone have chosen to put their two pilots who are here together into a matchup together. And then there are the two pilots who are racing from home will race together, which of course they're more used to doing throughout our Split 2 season. That's how it's been through all the seasons so far. Having your two pilots here, that's not the preferred option for most of our teams. A lot of them have been picking one pilot who's here to pair with one pilot who are from home. And I think Zion and the Ice Cheetah are a really natural pairing for the team. They've been flying so well together, and we've quite often seen Creator Gamer and Chryson race together and fly very well together too. Creator Gamer is the other pilot from China Dragons who is here alongside Ion. But we're going to start things off with Ion and Chryson. Creator Gamer and then Clone number 1 will be the second pairing for China Dragons. Zion and the Ice Cheetah, Cyclone Racing. Ion FPV and Chryson for China Dragons. The winner of this continue in the upper bracket and race against X-Blades in the first of the semi-finals, which will be our first matchup tomorrow. So win this matchup. Not only are you still in the top half of the bracket in that kind of more advantageous point with both your lives intact, not only that, but you also aren't racing through any of the elimination matches that are happening today. Welcome back to Abu Dhabi, where the Drone Champions League, the World Championship of Professional Drone Racing Teams. We are live here in the middle of Yas Mall. To all of you joining us here in Abu Dhabi and everybody joining us on the Twitch stream, it's been a challenge, but we're going to get some racing back into the sky very, very soon. We've had our first matchup of the day, X-Blades against SDT. That resulted in a clean win for X-Blades, 26 points to 14 across the 4 races. A very strong performance by them, as you would expect, as they've come into the finals completely undefeated. Next up, it is China Dragons against Cyclone Racing in our second matchup series of the day. Remember, it's 4 races, 2v2, then another 2v2, then a big heat, 4v4, and here at the Split 2 finals, another big heat, 4v4. We've never had 2 back-to-back like we're doing here. But 2v2, 2v2, 4v4, and another 4v4. going to go racing with the Ice Cheetah and Zion against Kryson and Ion FPV. Cyclone Racing in purple, China Dragons in their trademark orange, and Kryson in the lead where he quite likes to be. But Zion FPV racing nicely enough. He's the top of the two pilots you see from Cyclone on the right hand side. He's streaming, then it's the Ice Cheetah down on the bottom. Things and Ion FPV racing here as well is in third place. Currently Cyclone top and sailing this thing as we're making our way through lap number 1. Kryson fighting with Zion for the lead. Ion firmly in third place at the moment. The Ice Cheetah struggling to get into the game. He's nearly 8 seconds behind. Kryson leading out. Coming to this difficult obstacle. Spin it! And then a left, right, left, right, right. He'll get it as we go around. Let's play it next time. Starts off with a split there. Then there's a left, then there's a right. And he comes through the 4th gate from the far side. Look out there. This, the corkscrew, 4 gates in succession. Quadruple corkscrew. Kryson going through it. 3 tenths of a second ahead of Zion. Now going through a QRL section. And then a left-hand ladder up and a right-hand ladder down. That's what you do. 360-degree turn. Left hand up, right hand down. Kryson ducking under there and then through and out again. So you see you go through the top, then you do what we call a split S, where you turn around, drop down, and come out the bottom of the gate. Then it's a hard turn left and right, so you do the third one, then flip over to the 4. Watch out, they'll be coming up a few times today. Zion leads Kryson by 4 seconds now. Zion clear away, nobody anywhere near him at all. Goes through the first of ladders, does the second before anybody else has even reached the first. He's got 2 laps to try and maintain this massive lead that he's got. Kryson trying to take chunks out of it though, starting to do so. A few tenths full here and there. The 4 seconds becomes down now to more like less than 3. Kryson is coming for Zion and he's got a lap and more to do with it. Zion going a bit wide on the turns, heading up into the corkscrew. Now we'll go through all 4 of them. We're on board with Kryson, who's trying to bite back at him, and on a few gates he's managed to do it, and that lead it was 4. It's reducing, it's getting down towards 2 seconds, although Kryson bumpy out of there, and has lost a bit of the time he was catching Zion with. On to the final lap, drop through the split S, left, right, and over goes Zion. Kryson completes it now, less than 2 seconds behind him. Kryson was gaining on Zion throughout the early stages of the lap, and he's doing it now. He's only a second behind Zion as we return with Kryson now a little bit hesitant out of that turn. Not going to gain on Zion with that, but they are side sinking and through the corkscrew. That was absolutely glorious flying. Not much race left. Can Kryson catch him in the ladders? Not by the first one. Kryson will now follow Zion all the way to the finish. A great battle between them. The Zion with the lead, Kryson second, Ion will get third. The Ice Cheetah will come in 10 seconds behind in 4th. He'll be cheering Zion on for that, but disappointed in his own performance. We're in that situation where one team gets 5 points, so does the other. A 5-all draw, not what either team want, but actually quite likely as an outcome. And as I mentioned earlier on, this is part of Cyclone's strategy. They quite like this idea of putting pilots in who they think can go 1st and 4th, and another pairing going 2nd and 3rd. They want to cancel out the single heats and then try and grab loads of points in the big heats that are coming up. Looks like this could work out for them here. China Dragon's similar team, if I'm honest. I think they compete in strategy-wise the same sort of way. I can see the Ice Cheetah and Zion with fairly big smiles on their faces. Creative Gamer is the last of those 4 pilots who are here in Abu Dhabi. It's going to be racing from Abu Dhabi, where he is. Creative Gamer will come up next. Star 23467 will be racing with him from home. They'll be the pilots for China Dragons. And on the other side of things, for Cyclone, as I'm just looking to see whether I can tell anything from the Cyclone pilots are here as to how they're feeling after that. And no, they're not giving very much away at all, I can tell you. Anyway, J-Box will be coming up next with Fluorescent. They're the 2 pilots from Cyclone who are racing from home. Is it going to make a difference to the pilots who are here? You'd say, I think, for pilots like J-Box and Fluorescent, racing from home, that's probably not going to be that significant for them. That's where they've been racing in all the 18 race days we've done in Split 2. It's possibly more of a challenge, in fact, very likely to be more of a challenge for everybody who's here. They're racing with a big crowd around them and a few kids trying to talk to some of our pilots a few times. Some of our pilots loving the attention as well. Zion's been doing some signing. Kids t-shirts, getting Zion on it. And, sorry, not Zion. On, Yayu. Credit there, he doesn't get. Oh, Yayu. Yayu was doing that. It was particularly funny when a kid went up to him with one of the cards that SDT had made. featuring their pilots and asked him to sign Silvio. Right, second matchup. It is 5 all between Cyclone Racing and China Dragons. It's going to be Creative Gamer and Clone number 1 against J-Box and Fluorescent. And everybody within a tenth of a second of each other through that complicated first section. But that big old set of 4 gates starts to strip things out. Fluorescent in the lead. 2 sets, Creative Gamer, Clone number 1, and then J-Box in that 5 and 5 position. So early, things are going to change, and it's a bit of a problem in the middle of the quadruple. Corkscrew, Creative Gamer who's lost 4 seconds, and J-Box wasn't going too quickly through there either. So Fluorescent beats Clone number 1, 3/10 of a second. Then J-Box in third. Creative Gamer not going too far behind. He's 4-4 now. He's very intensive. Creative Gamer, he's the second pilot now. Eye on his teammate watching on above him. Ryan on the ice cheater watching Fluorescent and J-Box. Preston, lap number 2. 1 second now ahead of Clone number 1. James Gopi racing for home, falling behind. 2 seconds and more opening up. J-Box a little bit too far behind to do anything about that from third. And Creative Game really not featuring in this yet. Just watching, you can see Ion in top right of your screen, sat next to Creative Gamer, just giving him a little bit of a tip here and there, a little bit of comms between the team while they're racing, which is totally legal. That happens occasionally. We don't often get to see it, but we are seeing it now. Goes Cheetah and Zion in the bottom right of the screen, not saying too much of the Fluorescent and J-Box. Seems to be working well for them as it is. The team manager, Bretton, is here. You might know him in the racing team, Pat Woody. He is coaching them a little bit and feeding them information during the races. Fluorescent in trouble by Clone. J-Box right next to him as well. Lap number 4, Fluorescent and J-Box push up for 1 and 2. Clone number 1 was briefly taking the lead and is now half a second behind it. J-Box less than a tenth behind Fluorescent, looking like he might catch him as they go into the corkscrew. Fluorescent comes out with J-Box still right close to him. So they're both pilots from Cyclone. It's Clone number 1 he needs to worry about, or does he? Clone number 1 is slipping a tenth here and there as well. He comes out of this section. It's 5 tenths still, half a second. Now coming around the ladder into the start of this section. Through 8-2R out, Fluorescent, then J-Box. Clone number 1 trying to stay with them, but that gap just got a little bit bigger. Around his big left-hand turn, Clone number 1 will try and catch them. You can't go too wide, cut across that corner and you'll end up quite near the wall. Fluorescent still in front of J-Box, quarter of a second, slightly more between them. Clone number 1 has fallen, 2 seconds behind. The orange drone no longer in the picture. Fluorescent and J-Box are 1-2. To the delight of their teammates, Clone number 1 is third. Creative Gamer wraps it up on our stage in 4th place. But Cyclone start to pull a lead over China Dragons. We're getting a 7-3. And make it 12 points to 8. Cyclone and China Dragons just all season long been switching one team for the other, second, third, second, just changing places so closely matched. Will Cyclone make it to a finals? Remember, this is their first year in the DCL. They joined in 2023 before Split 1 began. They've changed their lineup a little bit as well. Fluorescent joined in the draft between Split 1 and Split 2. He's been a really good pickup for the team, flying so well for them. He's a great real-life pilot. I was chatting to the teammates. They're saying, yeah, he hasn't been in DCL's the game very long. But he knows his way around simulators, he knows his way around real-life flying as well, so we haven't seen the best of Fluorescent, I'm sure. He's very new to the DCL, but he's only going to get quicker. Big heat time coming up, 4v4. All the pilots from Cyclone, all the pilots from China Dragons. Here it comes, the first of our 2 big heats. And we go, racing, Fluorescent getting involved, China Dragons are all over the top, and now they're all kind of 4, 5, 6, moving around the middle. That's a bad hit for Zion, that sends him to the back while the rest of the gates are all lit up in purple and orange. Fluorescent, J-Box, they're the first 2, Iron and Clone, 3rd and 4th. What happens in the corkscrews? Well, we've got a lot of company in there, our 7 transporters saying 1, we're heading to it at the same time. Fluorescent now attacking the ladders, trying to get up to the position he found himself in the last race. J-Box on his currently. Zion. Float number 1, we're getting a little bit closer to J-Box actually. He's not been quite so quick through there as we need him to be. Now Price on quarter of a second behind J-Box. Let's use him into the 180. There's the first, there's the second, and going into the corkscrew. Bryson might be able to take a little bit of time out of J-Box here. He's done more than that. He's taken the position from him. He tried to push for the lead, and will try and maintain it coming out of the second ladder. He does, but J-Box on the inside of that turn. Good work from J-Box, slightly better work from Bryson. He'll start that number 3. J-Box, full vision of him as they go through the gates. Demolish that fourth there. No problem with that switch back. Until when J-Box pushes, goes past Bryson, a little bit on the outside of him, uses that to speed into the corkscrew. Going through the corkscrew now, Rob Board with Bryson, the purple drone just in front of him. The nearest one is the second, and the nearest other one is the second or so behind him, and that's Zion in third. Zion on the ice, cheatering, blow number 1, scrapping around 4th, 5th, and 6th. Out front, Bryson, only a few hundredths of a second, him and J-Box. This is great racing from the two. We start lap number 4 now, over and through the split edge. Rob Board with Bryson. Trying again on J-Box. Now this corner is where they keep giving time to each other. That's a good free turn from Bryson, and it's 2 cents of a second. He's got to catch up. He's good here. Look, he comes out of the corkscrew just above J-Box and misses a turn. Has to go back to complete it. That's put Bryson 3 or so seconds behind the leader. Then it's Zion. And Iron and flow number 1 want to say something about that, but they're not gaining on third yet. In fact, the Cyclone pilots, the Ice Cheater and Perpetuum are gaining on them. Final lap here, J-Box, Bryson, Zion, Ion, striping out the top 4 places. Perpetuum might be able to do something about 4th, might be able to take an extra point here. There's 1 available if he can do it. Zion's gone from 3rd to 2nd, and spot places. Bryson takes it back. Was definitely in a fight with J-Box for the lead, but J-Box is away here. He's just got final turns to make. J-Box gets a win! 6 seconds, 5 seconds behind. Bryson in Zion, so close! Bryson beats him by 1/10 of a second for second. Zion third, then Iron Bryson, and it strikes all the way down. J-Box with a win over Bryson. That's not a matchup that cancels each other out. That's a 6-4. So that gives Bryson's team a little bit more catching up to do. J-Box really getting into the swing of this racing. He was a bit slower, 3 seconds or so slower in the 2v2 that he flew earlier on than he is in the race just gone. But yeah, stronger showing from him. And J-Box throughout Split 1 was certainly at the start of Split 1, start of 2023, their quickest pilots. And I've been chatting to the guys, and they said, yeah, we think our team has sort of leveled out a bit in a good way. The rest of them have got faster. He's sort of helped spur everybody else on. So J-Box racing very well there, finishing in a time of 1:59.17. Cryson's time was 1:60. A little better behind. So that's 3 matchups done. We have another big heat. This 4th big heat is, going to be a very likely position where it can always potentially turn the result around. Being another 10 points available, it's possible that in an extra big heat as we're doing here, that a team could grab all 10 points and that could swing the whole series. Cyclone gets Giant Dragon. Score after the last matchup. 18-12. There it is. Cyclone would like some more points. J-Box. In terms of the second, that's correct. All the China Dragons pilots, Sandwich, the Cyclone pilots, and the Ice Cheater, languaging a little bit further behind. Zion, not really good. J-Box, back in the front, it's him is great. It does seem like the third section of the lap, these turns coming up and going into the corner. It's a bit stronger for Bryson. He's been a little bit quicker around that really big left-hand turn. Into the corkscrew with everybody. Coming out above J-Box, that's the pilot that he had trouble with earlier, but he's alright this time. Bryson 2,000 to the second between him and J-Box, and now J-Box on the second half of the lap, I think, was a little quicker than him. On the far side, Zach Jacobs will start the next lap. Bryson still in front of J-Box. They come with a 4 set, and then Philip with boss race head out. And then I just think Bryson needs to play with this part of the course to try and stretch away. 2 sets will stop. Gets the course through down to J-Box. News are on board with him. Doesn't close it, doesn't lose him either. He's about the same amount of time behind Bryson. And J-Box is coming up to the section where I think he can do something like Bryson sees. He's going to need to, because the captain's getting a little bit in the wrong direction for him. J-Box on lap number 4, just beginning it now. 3-4 tenths behind Bryson. Bryson in third. Work number 1 doing the other scoring position for China Dragons. Then Ions over a second behind that, and the rest of the pilots are 10-11 seconds behind the lead and not likely to be challenging anybody's points. Ions are 1 in 5th. If you try and catch up with fourth, but it's a teammate, that won't make any difference for China Dragons. The 5-point situation that we're in right now won't make any difference for them either. They need to get involved. They need to get many more points than Cyclone have a chance of beating Cyclone and not dropping down to the elimination bracket in this last matchup between these two teams. Bryson's got the lead. He's doing everything he can. He's leaving J-Box behind. J-Box and the rest of the switching places in second and third. Both of them for Cyclone. Mode number 1 is not near enough to do anything about them as we're getting to the last stages of this final lap on the race now. Bryson leads out, 1.6 ahead. He goes down the final turn and he's got to get the win. J-Box and Caressa will get second and third, doing what the team strategy says. They're hanging on, trying to score what they can in big heats, and with big smiles on Yoshida and Zion, they are going to knock China Dragons down to the elimination matches. Ooh, good battles. 5-all in the second one of the big heats there. Let's bring in Mr. Zion FPV. Slide on in over here. Make sure you're unmuted and welcome to the stream. Zion FPV, who we've not had on a live stream in any sort of chatting capacity. I don't think, did I talk to you on one of the flight nights a little while ago?
I don't think so. I wanted to, but I wasn't able to make it, yeah.
Abu Dhabi, it's very nice here on the stage. How are you feeling about your performance so far?
Feeling great. I think as a team we're working together really well, and I like this track. It's really fun for us. It is muted.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, you were saying.
Okay.
Yeah. If anybody didn't catch that, you were just saying you love the environment here, and as a team, you think it's all working really well, and it's all really fun. How are you feeling today? Because I know jet lag was a bit of a deal for your American team.
A little tired, but overall pretty good. We got some decent sleep last night, so I'm feeling decently rested, and we've had plenty of practice today, so I'm feeling really well.
I'm still not sure if they can hear you on stream, so I'm just going to translate American into and say that he's feeling pretty good right now, and everybody seems to have got a decent. The ice cheater over there is struggling maybe a little bit on this course. What do you think?
Yeah, it happens to everybody. Technical courses have never been really his entire strong suit, but I mean, he's still an amazing pilot and great team captain.
Saying you're terrible and should be dropped from the team.
No.
Couldn't resist. You go to the upper bracket of things.
Yes, we do.
It's been incredible for you guys. You're going to face X-Blades, undefeated team, but you've given them some good individual races. You've not challenged them on the overall points, but you can give X-Blades a good fight, can't you?
Yeah, I think we can. It'll really depend on what the track is like tomorrow, but I mean, I'm hopeful that we can at least give them a good fight, even if we can't beat them. But I'm so happy with my team's performance so far, and I believe this guarantees us third, beating China Dragons right here. So I'm super happy with that outcome.
I'm still not sure if you're hearing on stream. Super happy with the outcome. Going to give a good fight to X-Blades. Get a massive story.
Oh, yeah, that would be absolutely insane.
Really something. Could happen. Keep the support coming for our purple team. They're flying so well. Congratulations. Well done. We will see you in tomorrow's upper bracket action against X-Blades. And we're talking about this double elimination thing and how some of our teams, like Cyclone, come into this with 2 lives and have still got 2 lives. There are 2 teams we know very well. Raiden Racing from Japan, the reigning world champions. Quad Force 1 from America. That was the Split 1 grand final a few months ago. This split is the first elimination match, and it's coming up next. A little more serious as our teams who are on 1 life left start to feature here. It's DCL Split 2 finals live from Abu Dhabi. We've seen X-Blades with a win so far, which means STT are down into the elimination bracket. We've seen Cyclone just get a good win over China Dragons as well. Now we're going to see our other 2 teams who made it here to the United Arab Emirates. And I will tell you again, because it's astonishing, it's the Split 1 finalists. With 6 teams at the Split 1 finals, a double elimination bracket with some teams in the elimination zone, exactly like this one. The grand final saw Raiden, after dropping to the elimination zone and then fighting their way back up, take on Quad Force 1. And it was a very powerful Quad Force 1 at the time. Looked like down in the elimination zone, but they beat themselves back up into the final and beat Quad Force 1 for the title in the final race, with, of course, Vincent Mines finishing in style like he does. Here, first of our elimination matches, it's Raiden racing against Quad Force 1. First matchup is going to be Vincent Mines and IQ 0 for Raiden racing. It's QTFPV and Propsicle for Quad Force 1. QTFPV and Propsicle are both here side by side in Abu Dhabi. You can see them on the online screen. IQ 0 is racing home for Raiden and got an early start. He jumped the start, which means he's inside of 1 second. Throttle penalty. No throttle for 1 second. Nevertheless, in 3rd place, as he's got off to a better start than Propsicle here. QTFPV, his teammates, Propsicle's teammate, 2 seconds behind Vincent Mines. If you give Vincent Mines that kind of a cap, you are likely to never see him again. So, Mines, keep your eye on him as he completes the block trade set of gates. Now swings around the long left-hand turn, being chased by Propsicle now, who's up into 2nd as IQ 0 has been passed by him. The QTFPV has hit out and crashed, given a lot of time to everybody else. So now, we always love it when we get Mines against Propsicle, and we've got that here, but with 3 seconds to do something, for those 2 pilots to have any kind of real battle between them. We're on board with Propsicle, he's 4 seconds behind, not quite keeping up with Mines. Around that long left-hand turn, turning tightly and diving down as he completed it, getting some good speed in there, and 4 seconds is where he is ahead of Propsicle on lap number 3. Propsicle running out of time to do anything about Vincent Mines. Propsicle is not enjoying this track. He was one of the pilots after the 1-hour training that they've had, the only training that they've had. He's one of the pilots who really wasn't happy with how he was flying here. Heading QTFPV by some considerable margin. IQ 0 lost between them both down in 3rd place. Propsicle corkscrewing nicely. Caught up Mines by a few tenths now. That 4 seconds, getting a little bit closer to 3, but that's still an awful lot of seconds in drone racing. Mines starting, lap number 4. Propsicle getting into it now. There's the split left, right, and over the top. You can see how tight it is if you're flying in first person. Around the block trade, split the second one, and Mines, he's going to duck down again. He's low, going to the corkscrew. Pulls up to make it tight on the 2nd and the 3rd. He's very close to those. Follows him out. Somewhere between 3 and 4 seconds behind him. Big pre-turn, nice pre-turn on the first of the ladders. Propsicle good on those. Mines just unstoppable all the way round. Propsicle getting 2nd. IQ hanging on to 3rd. QTFPV was up in the battle for a while, but finds himself a long way behind at the back. Mines out in front where he likes to be by nearly 2.5 seconds at the end. That's a big lead for Mines over Propsicle. Does seem like Mines, we quite often say, is so quick when he's chasing from behind, when he's racing and trying to catch up. And we've seen him do some incredible finishes and catch up on pilots from what seemed like a losing position. Not possible to catch up is what I've called him a couple of times, and yet he's still managed to do it. Seems like he quite likes just being out in front. I always thought he liked to targets, chase after. But Propsicle didn't give him one there. The Propsicle, after a bad start on the first lap, was behind and then ends up in second, mostly due to other pilots having some problems. Find out, Yuki is racing from home for Raiden Racing. Longcat FPV, the longest of cats, is back, flying in Split 2 for Raiden Racing live here from Dubai. Their opponents, Hyper, that's Mason, of course, Mason Lively from America. Hyper and AK Drones for Quad Force 1, they're both racing from home. Longcat, the only one of them here in Abu Dhabi, but you see the teammates of the other three pilots watching and maybe passing some advice to say, no, let's get started on this. Yuki and Longcat in yellow for Raiden. AK Drones and Hyper in blue for Quad Force 1. The loser of this matchup is eliminated from the whole finals in 6th place. And there are points available here, as there were in the Split 1 finals, determine who goes to our Super Grand World Championship finals in December. And not finished yet. After the Split 2 finals today and tomorrow, there will be the Super Finals to determine the World Champion of the Drone Champions League. That's in December. Keep your eyes peeled. Hyper, AK Drones, first and second. Longcat, just close to AK Drones, not close enough to get in yet. Yuki not too far behind. Yuki, a really quick pilot, second in the FAI Individual Championship a month or so ago in Korea. Brilliant pilot out of Japan. Yuki not used to seeing him down in 4th place. Longcat outflying him at the moment, which is really impressive. Longcat's not been competing in the sim quite as much recently. He's got past AK Drones, so has Yuki. Raiden go from 3rd and 4th, 2nd and 3rd. Hyper in the middle of the race. Middle of the middle lap. Trying to stay ahead of them. Longcat trying to do something about it. Yuki trying to keep with Longcat. He's lost a little bit of time. Yuki could catch Hyper. I think he could be quick enough to do it. But it doesn't look like this track is favouring just yet. Hyper into the ladder to start lap number 4. Through the split S, left and right out of there. Longcat following him, but the gap has gone from a little bit under 4 seconds to the wrong side of 4 seconds. Longcat now making a turn. That's a nice turn around that pylon. Hyper is already in the corkscrew. Yuki is technical enough on some of these obstacles that you would think he would sort of claw back the lead that Hyper's got, but instead he's gone the wrong way as he's lost it 4 times. Clearly hit an obstacle on this track, and it is a really demanding location. This track and today's, remember, a different track to tomorrow's races. They are really tough ones physically on these pilots. Hyper is making this look very nice though. He's going to come up to the long left-hand turn. Longcat will follow him 5 seconds behind now, and maybe 6 by the time this is over. Longcat corkscrewing. Yuki's most of a second behind him. 2 ladders to go for Hyper. The first and the second are done. Hyper will bring it around and get a big win over both of the Raiden pilots by almost 6 seconds. Longcat and Yuki are home, and AK Drones will wrap this thing up for the final turn for him now. Coming way behind, 10.5 seconds at the end. The Hyper and AK Drones getting 5 points. That means Raiden do as well. There's very little in it between Raiden and Quad Force 1. As you'd expect, there's such good teams, and it really is all things on the line right now. It's do or die situation where you've got to win to stay in the tournament. They've come all this way to Abu Dhabi. 4 races is all you've got between landing and potentially being eliminated. And whoever wins this will remain in the competition but stay in the elimination zone. They'll still only have one life. They will play SDT. And it's non-stop now for the rest of today. We have this matchup between Raiden and Quad Force 1. The winner of this will fly in the next matchup against SDT, who lost the opening match of today. And the winner of that will then race again in against China Dragons in the 3rd of the elimination matches. Get there a stage at a time. Right now, let's go for the first of the 2 big hits between Raiden and Quad Force 1. This should be very exciting. 8 of these brilliant pilots all racing at the same time. It's Yuki, where he usually is seen, the opposite side of his last race, racing towards the front. Mine, Propsicle just ahead of him now. Propsicle we quite often see easily the best of the pilot from Quad Force 1, and he's far ahead of his teammates who are all a second behind him. He's not even completed a lap yet. This is not looking like a strong enough performance for Quad Force 1. How many times have I said during Split 2, Propsicle can't do it all by himself. Been a really good fight, with Mines. This view of Mines has gone wrong. Hit the gate and sent sideways from it, lost a lot of time there. Mines down to the back of things. Propsicle where he likes to be. The other side of the gates from Mines. Propsicle in the lead, IQ in second, Hyper doing something about it. IQ and Longcat, third and fourth. 3 points were available in those possessions for Raiden. Hyper and Propsicle getting away from them. IQ 0 needs to try and hang on to Hyper. Longcat needs to get involved. Mines, he could claw himself back. Never, ever count out Vincent Mines. 5 seconds behind as we hit the third lap. Surely we don't dare imagine Mines is going to come and pass everybody. Let's see, Propsicle out in the lead, 2 tenths or so ahead of Hyper, his teammates. Then it's Yuki, then IQ 0 in the 4th lap begins. Propsicle and Hyper swing round for it now. Yuki in close pursuit of them. IQ 0 looking solid to hang on to 4th place or another Raiden pilot doing so. Mines has gained a second or so, but not all of it. Hyper's caught Propsicle and goes past him. This is good racing from Propsicle. It was only a little while ago. He finished a training session and was really unhappy with how he was racing. Propsicle flying well. He finished his first matchup with a time of 1:6.25. It's a solid time. Now he's a tenth of a second behind teammate Hyper and Yuki. 4 tenths of a second behind them. We're on to the final lap. Yuki running out of time to do anything else things as 1-2 of Hyper and Propsicle. Iron still 4 seconds behind. The catch-up is not happening here, but it is a new track for everybody. Hyper and Propsicle been under pressure from Yuki all the way round. Can't afford to make any mistakes at all. Looks like they're not going to. Hyper will lead Propsicle. Yuki almost caught Prop at the end, but it is a 1-2 for Quad Force 1. Yuki and Vincent Mines getting 3rd and 4th. That is exactly what Quad Force 1 needed, as they'll take 7 points from that, which puts them ahead of Raiden Racing. Now we see what these extra big heats are going to do, as before that big heat, Raiden were definitely in the lead on points. After that big heat, Quad Force 1 now have a small lead. They're on 16 to 14. So after, in this normal situation, there would be 3 points coming Quad Force 1's way. We would call them the winner of that matchup. They would get the 3 points in our season leaderboard. But we got another big heat. These teams are used to doing these 3 matchups, 2v2, 2v2, 4v4. We got another big heat for them coming up right now. Those same 8 pilots have got to do it again. You have to deal with this feeling of, I mucked up. Well, push that aside out of your mind. I was out in front. Well, you probably want to keep that one. We will see 16 points to 14. Quad Force 1 were on the verge of being knocked out by Raiden. Now, possibly the other way round. Will we lose the Split 1 champions in their first matchup of the finals? Remember, they are the 2-time reigning world champions, Raiden Racing from Japan. They won the Split 1 finals. They need to get some points here reassure themselves of an appearance in the Super Finals in December for the World Championship title that they would love to win for a 3rd time. And a team are down by Raiden Racing. Mines is going to go and get involved. Watch. Propsicle's the one who usually tries to chase him. Hyper's going to get involved and try and stay in that fight too. It's really, really close. Yuki moving around the positions. IQ 0 as well. Propsicle amongst all of them. We've got 5 pilots within 4 tenths. So there's Hyper in front of Propsicle. Yuki IQ. Vincent Mines was in the lead. He's now 1.2 seconds behind him. It's come undone for him again, but he's in a much closer fighting position than he was. Raiden have got to score at least 2 points, more than Quad Force 1 right now. Or Raiden are the first team eliminated from the Split 2 finals. This whole elimination match, a rematch Split 1 finals, 2 teams of such incredible quality and 3/10 of a second between the top 4 pilots now. Mines moves up past IQ0, going for Propsicle, gaining on him. Hyper's still 2/10 ahead. Sunny lap number 3, we begin lap number 4. Hyper, Propsicle, Mines really close to them now. It's his Mines in his element in the chase, and he's got second. Propsicle's been a little bit flustered from the overtake, or another mistake that he's made is he's now down in the 3rd place by a second, and Mayans is only a few tenths behind Hyper. Now Propsicle's gone in front of him. Mayans crashed. Mayans down in the 3rd. That is surely Raiden's hopes crashing with him. He surely can't get back involved from this gap, and neither can any of the other pilots from Raiden. Final lap time. Hyper 2 seconds ahead of his teammate Propsicle. Vincent Mines very close to Propsicle as we've enjoyed that rivalry time and time again. And it's not a fight for first place, it's a fight for second. They need Propsicle to have a big crash of QTFPV to get into more problems, for Raiden to get into enough points. Mines doing what he can. Propsicle has been caught by him, but out in front for 4 points. Hyper gets the win. Propsicle is home. Quad Force 1 are into the next round. And Longcat's head is in his hands, and Mines is so disappointed. The first team eliminated are our reigning world champions. A lot of congratulatory cheers and slaps going on for Quad Force 1 here as they've got a big win over Raiden Racing. I can't even keep Propsicle away. He's just going to slide me out of this thing in a minute. You can't get in here fast enough.
I know. I'm shaking still from that one. Whew. I mean, you can probably see. Yeah.
Isn't it? Look at that.
Yeah.
That's been a long time coming. You guys put Raiden down.
Yeah, I mean, Raiden was the ones that ultimately took the win from us. Yeah, you're good.
Really close to your mouth.
Raiden was ultimately the ones that took the win from us back in Split 1. Yeah. So, I mean, that feels amazing. I mean, we just lost it at the very last, the very last heat back in Split 1. And when I saw it was a rematch with us and Raiden in the lower finals, I was like, oh, I already knew this is going to be a special one. So, I mean, that felt amazing. You know, Mason had absolutely turned up, killed all his heats. I was just kind of there, finishing behind him, getting those seconds and thirds, and I mean, I could not be happier. So yeah.
Of course. I mean, if you want to beat any team here, it's got that extra little bit of rivalry for you guys after Split 1, like you said. We knew that was going to be exciting, and I could sort of see it coming for a few weeks of the season as we were making our way through the 18 race days. You guys were languishing in that 6th place position. The teams below you, Alpha Prop, for example, wanted to get, but they never got close enough to you to really put your final spot in jeopardy. But you never got out of that elimination set.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, that was frustrating. Placing 6th, that's not what we expect. We always want to be up there, and especially for the past 3 years, we've always consistently been in the top 3. So it was definitely unfamiliar territory for us. But ultimately, we're here today to prove that is not who we are. That's not where we're going to be in the standings. We have more than this. We're going to be in that top 3. We're going to be in that finals. We're going to be on that top step of the podium. Like, that's what we're going for. We're not here for 6th. We're going to keep moving up. So at least for me, that was what I wanted to prove. Because I know I got messages from a lot of people who are like, Quad Force 1 down in 6th. What are you guys doing? What's happening? What's going on? So I just want to come here and prove all that wrong. Like, hey, we're still here to fight for that top spot.
It's been a surprise for me presenting the whole season. You guys down there. Some great sort of individual races, but just consistent performance.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think ultimately a lot of it comes down to the inconsistency in our pilot roster. Between everyone's busy schedules, in-person races, school, other commitments, like it's been really, really difficult to keep a consistent 4 that we were like really happy with what they're doing as far as speed and consistency. That's just been really difficult. So we've honestly been on a bit of a pilot hunt, and it's especially rough to do when you're in the middle of a split. You can't recruit any new pilots. You have your pilot roster, so you just have to work with what you got. So that's been really difficult. But for instance, like we brought in Cutie, and he's been amazing. Like he has stepped up so much more than I ever could have imagined. And we kind of just brought him in originally as like, we need anyone to fill the slot. We need like a warm body to fill the slot so we can have someone in this heat. But he is, yeah, we do have a warm body. We have a hot body, in fact, dude. Oh, well, okay, don't take that the wrong way. But he's been absolutely killing it, and I could not be prouder of him.
I will stick my neck out a little bit and say I wasn't expecting him on your 4 for the final. Mm-hmm. Do you understand?
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I mean, honestly, I wasn't either. We were trying to get Fidical in, but he had other stuff going on, again, travel. Like I said, just the inconsistency in our roster has been so rough.
A lot of people would have expected to see him.
They would have, yes. He's had some other commitments outside of DCL that have pulled him away since, which I'm super happy for him, but obviously it's rough for Quad Force 1. Like, we've had this happen so many years in a row where we've had this amazing roster and slowly they kind of just get pulled away from us from other leagues, which has been really difficult, at least for me, because it feels like I'm constantly scouting new pilots and trying to rebuild our roster, even though most of the time it's been completely fine.
I know you've done a lot of that behind the scenes. Us.
Yes.
Only a start, though.
Yes.
You're in the elimination zone. You don't get out of that. You have to race again next against SDT. If you win that, race again against China Dragons.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be a long night, that's for sure. Oh, yeah.
You're going to benefit from racing?
That race was the confidence we needed. Out of all three of those opponents, I'd say Raiden was definitely the ones we were the most worried about. I mean, they took us out in split 1. Like, that is who we lost to. So it was kind of killing our demons in that sense. Like, yeah, so for us it was just like, if we can make it through this first round, we can run through the rest of this race day. Like, we can just take that momentum, run with it, and just leave everyone behind in the dust. So that's the goal now. Just take what we learned. Like, we know we can do this now. We just had an amazing heat. We can do this. Like, especially for me, being on land is a new experience.
Yeah,
it's a new monitor. I'm not in my room, down in my basement. Like, we've got a crowd here, like we've got lights, and you've got your pilots that you're racing right next to you. So it's just this completely new experience. I had no idea how I was going to perform with that. And even in practice, I was not flying as well as I would, and I was like, oh no, is this what it's going to be?
I have mentioned on stream that after training finished, you looked unhappy.
Oh, I was very unhappy. I just it felt like I was just fighting to finish runs that entire time. So I was thinking, if I probably finished 3, maybe 4 total runs in practice. So for me, it was like, I've got 3 heats I've got to race. How am I going to finish all of those, no mistakes? Like, I need to finish those with really good times in order to help win this for my team. So I was not happy. I kind of walked around a little bit after that and was just like, no, you're going to get in the zone and you're going to get it done. And that's exactly what I did. So.
Well done.
Yeah.
We'll let you go and do it some more.
Yes, thanks.
See if we chat to you again.
Yep.
Later on.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Quad Force 1, fight on. They're in the next elimination battle. After this break, SDT will return to the stage. Comes out on top between them and our American friends. Welcome to Yas Mall in the United Arab Emirates. It's racing time in our elimination bracket for DCL Split 2 finals. We'll be back again at 8 p.m. local time here, which is 4 p.m. UT tomorrow, with our last 3 matchups, including our semis and our big grand final to see who's the Split 2 champions. But before we get to any of that, we got some teams to say goodbye to. We just lost in the first of the elimination matches. Raiden Racing, the reigning 2-time world champions and the Split 1 champions earlier this year. They're the first team to be eliminated. They lost by just 4 points, 22-18 against Quad Force 1. That means Quad Force 1 remain in the elimination zone and are into our next matchup. They're racing against a team who lost the first match of the day. That was SDT. They were beaten 26-14 by X-Blades. So, the next in the elimination series, it is Quad Force 1 against SDT. Quad Force 1, as you heard the interview with Silas, Prop School just now, super happy with their performance against Raiden. They knew that was one they had to win and was probably the toughest challenge they were going to have. Now, I think they're ready for a charge against everybody else. Let's see, Quad Force 1 in blue, Propsicle and QTFPV, and a look on QTFPV's face as he knows he's had a real problem on that first big obstacle, and he's nearly 4 seconds behind already. The green drones for SDT Perpetuum coin, our Spanish friends of Silvio and Bless. Silvio and Propsicle is another good battle. It's not always the closest minds with Propsicle, but they are 2 really strong pilots, particularly this season, and Propsicle 0.3 of a second behind Silvio. Propsicle said he did enjoy the track in training, but he feels like he's got a lot more into it now, and he's really pleased with the performance of his team, and that battle against Raiden will surely give them all the lift they can get. Massive performance for them against the reigning world champions and rivals who they've lost to before. Quad Force 1 are coming for you, SDT, but SDT doesn't want to be in. Propsicle is now 0.7 of a second ahead of Silvio. So behind Silvio, Blessed in third, QTFTV too far behind to do anything about scoring more than 1 point at the moment. Still Silvio out in front on lap 3 Popsicle behind him. We're on board with him. Going around, then it was the split S on the second of the block trade gates. That's okay. Gets very close to the wall to try and turn on the left-hand turn, an early pre-turn. Nice work from Popsicle. Good lines he's finding with Silvio. Corkscrewing so well. Really tightly through there. Now into the ladders. Popsicle starting to claw a little bit back here and there. Got 2 more laps. Nobody needs to do anything crazy. No need to throw caution to the wind. Split S-ing out of this obstacle. Popsicle's getting closer. Now just under a tenth of a second between him and Silvio. The routes over the split S of the first and the second of the block trade gate is a little bit different. This is where Popsicle turned well last time. On the inside of Silvio as they head into here. Into the corkscrew. Popsicle goes in behind Silvio. Comes out fractionally ahead of him. Now the 2 ladders. Popsicle stays there. Silvio less than a tenth of a second behind Popsicle. Squeezing past him onto the start of the final lap. Lap number 5. Popsicle and Silvio and 1/10 of a second between them. We're on board with Silvio chasing. Blessed is too far behind to catch them. But QTFPV is going to catch Blessed and try and get past him for third. They're having their own battle. 13 seconds behind this one. They beautifully light up the corkscrew in synchronization. It's currently Popsicle just ahead of Silvio on the first ladder, and they're running out of race now. Around the pylons, through the slalom. Can Popsicle hang on to it? Yes, he does! And SDT and Quad Force 1 are sat next to each other here in Abu Dhabi. Big smiles on the faces of the Spanish-owned team managers. SDT's managers looking really pleased with the race there, and all of our pilots and managers are like that. They'll always appreciate a really good race, even if their pilot is the one following the winner. SDT there, so close. Popsicle, really, the change in him in the last, let's say, 3 hours between the end of practice and racing now. Clearly, he's come alive on this track, and you would expect that he's only going to get faster and faster on it. Flying so well as he just did. And SDT maybe a little bit nervous to be going up against Quad Force 1 on the performance that they just put in against Raiden, but it's do or die time. You've got to show us everything you can. That last match was a 5-all. Quad Force 1 and SDT. Popsicle winning it, but QTFPV was touching up into 3rd place, ended up in 4th. So it's 5 points, him and Popsicle being cancelled out by Silvio and Bless. Hyper off to a good start here. We saw him performing really well on this track in the last series. It was very important to helping them win their first of the elimination battles. Danube in the chase in second. These guys racing from home, AK Drones racing from home as well. They're down in the 3rd and 4th. Danube, quarter of a second ahead of Hyper. Hyper's really coming into his own around this track. Start of lap number 2. Hyper over half a second in front of Danube. Danube on a roll through the A2RL gate, around the far side of block straight, split into 3rd of a second. Tries to gain on Hyper, trying to take a different route, goes very deep into the left-hand turn, trying to hit the corkscrews a little bit front on and faster. Not working out, he's lost 2/10 of a second. Danube through the 2 ladders. Around behind Hyper, and the gap not getting really any smaller for him, but Hyper's also not getting away. Now Danube needs to do something about this. They've got 3 more laps ahead of them, including this one, and Hyper 7/10 of a second. Making his way around the big corner. This was where Danube went a little bit deep last time. He didn't go quite so wide this time. Following Hyper into the corkscrews, and he's gained a little bit on him, and he's ever so close on the corkscrews. But alive still as he comes out of the other end. Only half a second behind Hyper now. If he can catch a couple of tenths here and there, could be on for a really tight finish between the 2 of them. He's just lost a bit though. Hyper's got a little bit further away from him than he already was. The work that Danube did on the last lap to try and gain him been undone and more. And AK Drones, Hyper's teammate, is just nowhere to be seen. He's almost a lap behind. These guys very concreted into 3rd place. Danube, the only one who can do anything about this being another 5-point stall situation. Will roll through the slaloms with 1 more lap to go. Hyper 6/10 ahead of Danube and maybe getting away from him now. Hyper's doing good work there. Danube goes a little bit close to the floor on the exit of those 4 gates. 6/10 still between SDT's pilot Danube and Hyper for Quad Force 1 into the corkscrews. It was very tight for Danube before, and he's hit one! And that is surely seeing the end of any battle he can do with Hyper. Danube was so close to the corkscrews on the 4th lap, couldn't really make it any tighter. He's hit one on the 5th one. He's still got second. Comes in 1.4 seconds behind Hyper. Not that much when you consider the crash he had. T-Sky's third. AK Drone's nowhere to be seen. It was 5-all in the first matchup. It's 5-all in this one too, as AK Drones will bring it home now. So it'll be 10 points all after the 2 matches. That means we need some big heats to try and sort things out here. 2 big heats to come as well. So loads of points available, 20 more points available. Got 10 each here. Surely they can't split the big heats as well. I'm sure people are asking what happens if it's a tie. I'll tell you, because it may happen. Stage. If we've got a tie after all 4 heats are flown, we will have one more winner takes all race. Another big heat, everybody in it. The winner is the one whose team progresses. We don't do it on points, it's winner takes all. 10 points each after 2v2s. Would expect it, this split, to be close between Quad Force 1 and SDT. In previous seasons, let's be honest, over the last 2 years, maybe 3 years, you wouldn't have expected SDT to be putting up a close challenge with Quad Force 1. They were usually the team further down the leaderboard. They were newer to the DCL compared to Quad Force 1, who joined in 2018. And back in 2018, the glory days of Quad Force 1, their first ever season in the Drone Champions League, they were runners-up in the World Championship. They just didn't get it on the final day. It went to X-Blades, as it did for a few more years consecutively before Raiden came to spoil that part. Can Quad Force 1 get a title? They've never had one. They've never won the World Championship. The closest they've ever come was their runner-up position in 2018. They were in the final of Split 1, which is on the same scale, obviously, conventional title. What happens here? Let's see. Hyper back in the front. Silvio back in the chase. Still would like some of that as well, and moves a little closer to Silvio. QTFPV is 4th after that. Less than the rest of SDT shows out of the points. Second ahead of Silvio. 2. Dropped a little bit further behind, was up into 3rd, he's down into 6th. That's how close all those pilots run mid-last. He was ahead of most of Quad Force 1, he's now behind all of Quad Force 1. Just Silvio doing any damage. This being a big old sweep by Quad Force 1, and surely it won't be 10 points Quad Force 1, and surely Silvio can continue to stay in those high scoring positions. Doing a little bit of catching here on Hyper, just getting close to him on some obstacles, just losing a little bit of time on other obstacles. It's averaging out still around the 0.2, maybe stretched to 0.3 of a second. Propsicle up into 3rd, trying to get back into a fight up here. He'd love to help his team get more points. Too far behind Propsicle to try and catch him, but not so far ahead of QCFPV that 4th place isn't a little bit in danger. Silvio, still 2 tenths. Hyper still in front of him. Propsicle still in 3rd. Starting the 4th lap. Here comes the left, to the left, right, and over the top. This is Silvio's view of Hyper, still 3 tenths ahead of him. Not really changing more than 2 or 3, but now that I say that, Hyper's starting to get away from Silvio. Silvio's got to keep the concentration to the flying he's doing, as he's been competing so well, and that final part of the corkscrew was excellent. But it needed to be all the way through. He's not catching Hyper. It's half a second now. Hyper just stretching away a little by little. A few hundredths of a second here and there. It's all adding up. Hyper comes into the final time now, around the A2RL curve. First of the block tray gates in the seconds. If Hyper makes any mistakes, then Silvio's going to steal it from him. But it doesn't look like Hyper's in a mistake-making move into the corkscrews. Now, Silvio, close, tight, but almost a second behind Hyper, as whatever Silvio does, Hyper is still there in front of him and even further than he was. It's not by much, but it keeps adding up, and it adds up to 4 points for Hyper. Silvio in 3rd. Propsicle is going to find his way in now, not looking so pleased. with himself, but third place for his team, and Danube is fourth. It strikes in the top four. It's not a 5-all situation like it was. Quad Force 1 move into a little bit of a lead now as they come out of this 6 points to 4. Oh, now it's on SDT. Now the pressure is on SDT. Quad Force 1, I don't think they're playing this strategy of, well, let's just try and score points and keep the other team behind us. I think Quad Force 1 are out here for every point they can get. Love to just win everything rather than play it safely. That seems to be more how they fly. SDT, I must say, really having such a great season. Not perhaps the kind of headline-making season that China Dragons were having, where we've talked about it being the best season they've ever had, which saw them up in a third on the leaderboard. But SDT finishing the season in fourth before the finals. Such an amazing achievement for them. Can they keep it going? Quad Force 1, 2 points ahead of SDT now. So SDT have to score at least 2 points more than Quad Force 1 in the coming DCL Big Heats. Sorry. And the winner of this, Quad Force 1 or SDT, will be up in the next and final matchup of today in Abu Dhabi. They'll be racing against China Dragons, who were eliminated in the second and third seed match earlier. China Dragons watching this? Actually, no. Here in Abu Dhabi, they're getting ready to practice. They're getting their time in on the sticks iron and create a game of swapping some notes right now and swapping a bit of advice on how to fly it. Here's the race that determines who comes fifth in the split finals and leaves us at this stage. Quad Force 1 against SDT. Quad Force 1, 2 points ahead of SDT. That's all it is. Hyper is back in the front and Proxical is with him. Silvio, of course, leading the way for SDT. And Danube actually fancies as the captain of SDT to do something about that. Goes into third, goes into second. Danube moves past Proxical, but no one's yet gaining on Hyper. It's still very early. If Hyper is dialed in like he was earlier, it's going to be tough for anybody to get him. Maybe Danube can give him something to think about early on. They just gone to the start of lap number 2 and Hyper will have seen Danube hovering around the ladder at the same time. Look how tight Danube is making some of these gates, and we haven't seen him challenging near the front very much. It's mostly been Silvio, not just today, but also in the split 2 leading up this point. Whereas Danube used to be the clear challenger of best pilot of SDT, Silvio is really coming to his own. Silvio and Danube side by side. Hyper still ahead by best part of 2 seconds. Sorry, 2 tenths of a second. Proxical in fourth. Everyone else a long time behind. Pressure on Hyper and Proxical to maintain this lead and not give points away to SDT. Silvio needs to get into the game. He needs to get into the front of these things. They've still got 2.5 laps to go. But we've seen how hard it can be to catch Hyper. If Proxical gets caught by Silvio and drops down to fourth, then they'll get 5 points all in this, and Quad Force 1 will continue. If Proxical drops out of the top 4, then it changes very much. Danube takes the lead from Hyper, who's down in the third. Propsical's the one who's trying to challenge him for it, and we like this. 4th lap racing out of block trade. Propsical gets in front of Danube. Danube didn't see that coming. He's half a second away. Propsical might drag his team with him to the next stage. Hyper up in a second. That's a massive performance, because Danube and Silvio are having problems, and as they do so, the chances of SDT remaining in the Split 2 finals are fading fast. Silvio and Danube got to do something about Hyper and Propsical on the last lap. They're going to need a little bit of luck to come their way. They need Hyper and Propsical to have a big old accident and lose a few seconds, because there's a big gap between the 2 pilots in Quad Force 1 and the chasing pilots in green of SDT, but Hyper is ahead of Propsical by 3 or 4 tenths. Propsical still a little bit too far ahead of SDT. Into the ladders, the final time now. 1 is good, the second is good. That's all the dangerous obstacles done. Quad Force 1 fight on to the next stage and beat SDT. 7 points to 3 in the final race there. Quad Force 1 getting the first and second, getting the 7 points that come with it. They were 2 points, I can't keep him away. They were 2 points ahead of SDT.
Oh, man.
I remember you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Matt.
Ages,
I think I just, yeah, it's been a while, Yeah. Here, let me get more in the center. There we go. Beautiful.
Okay. Quad Force 1, you're not leaving in 5th place either.
No, you know, like I said, taking that momentum with Raiden, we're running with it. And I think especially this heat, for me, it's like mentally we can't let ourselves get worried if we start to get behind early. Like I've been telling the team, like, just wait for the big heats. You know, like let's be patient with our racing strategy. At least that was it for me. Like, let's just keep applying pressure, be patient, and we'll take it home in the end. That's exactly what we did. Like, we just kept applying that pressure, kept keeping it close, and then taking home those points at the end.
So I've been chatting to a few of the teams, and I mentioned earlier on the show that some of these teams, Cyclone for example, are going into 2v2s and thinking we really just want to cancel out the other team. We're happy with first and fourth, those sort of 5-all situations, and try and get the points in the big heat. That apply to you guys? Because I didn't think it would.
Not exactly. To a certain extent, like, we're okay if we go even in the big heats. We're always fighting for more points. But if we go even in big heats or even down slightly, I'm not worried. None of the team is worried. We're just like, okay, it's fine. Because I think at this point our roster is like really suited towards the big heats, at least the way it is currently. Me and Mason are in our own separate heats, so we're kind of just looking to, equal it out, keep it even. And then when me and Mason get in the same heat, we're trying to lock up that one too, like we just did that last time. Like, so that's kind of the name of the game. I wouldn't say we're trying to just cancel it out, but it's definitely like, okay, if that's how it ends up, that's totally fine. Let's just run with it.
Okay, so we move on, go fourth round, go against China Dragons. Feel like, maybe Raiden, I guess you feel like you beat everybody. There is an X-Blades, not quite a long way. You continue. We'll get there when we get there. China Dragons next.
Yeah, I mean, same theme as always. Like, just keep this momentum. We're feeling good. Like, I'm starting to warm up now. Like, again, those first heats against Raiden, I felt so shaky. I felt so out of it. I mean, we still can't manage to, like, fly good and, like, get good points for the team, but I just personally just, like, felt out of it. So, like, this next one, I felt really engaged with the track. Felt like I was hitting all my apexes and my timings, and it was feeling much better. And I think, I don't know, just for all of us, like, we're just slowly warming up and getting into it. So I think it's going to get better as we keep going on.
It feels like we're on a story here, doesn't it? It feels like this is a story we're going to be doing throughout the weekend until maybe some nice shiny title finally makes its way to you. Before we get to that, let me just ask you, in the first of those two big heats, you came in third. Hyper got the win on it. Just looking over at you afterwards, and we can see your camera. You looked quite serious at the end of that race. Were you feeling a little bit... You looked serious, and then you looked like you were talking to your team. What were you saying?
I think I was basically just saying, because if I'm trying to remember correctly, I think we went up slightly in points. I was basically just telling them, don't get too excited. Like, let's not take this lead for advantage. Like, after that heat, I wanted everyone to stay as calm and, like, focused as we could, because I think, at least in the past, a really big issue we've had is we've taken a big lead in some of the 2v2 heats, and then we get into 4v4s and we fall apart, and we have people crashing, and then they take 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're just screwed on points. So I was just telling them, hey, it's not over. We have one more big heat. Like, let's lock it out. Like, I don't want to let them get any more points here. Let's lock it out in that next one. I don't want any question about it. So I was feeling good, but I was just like, we need to stay in this zone until it's finished.
Yeah, that's working. I'll let you go do some more. You seem to be on a real sort of climb here. If you're going to win a title, beating every other team in it to do so, not a bad way of doing it.
That would be quite the run. I mean, that's the dream run right there. I'd love to make that happen. I mean, X-Blades has been looking fantastic, but I mean, you never know. You never know. We're here for all of it.
Is one we'll never tire of seeing. We'll see some more China Dragons against Quad Force 1 in the next round after this break. First day of DCL Split 2 finals is upon us now. Welcome back to Abu Dhabi here in the center of the Yas Mall, where it's getting a little bit closer to midnight. We're 4 hours ahead of UTC, so hope you're enjoying the racing whatever time it is, wherever you are. And if you're over in America and it's quite a lot earlier in the day, then your guys, Quad Force 1, are having a good time right now. They have so far, through the elimination bracket, seen off Raiden Racing, who are our reigning world champions. They've just seen off SDT. Now we're into the next matchup. China Dragons against Quad Force 1. UTFPD and Props and Joel are going to start from the top of the first team. Bryson and Ion FPD are from China Dragons. China Dragons were in the matchup with Cyclone earlier, the second and third place team today. And China Dragons third place team coming into the Split 2 final. Lost that one to Cyclone, 23 points from 17. That's why they're down here in a match with Quad Force 1 for their lives. Bryson. Only one of these pilots not here in Abu Dhabi racing towards the lead, trying to take it from Propsicle right now on lap number 2. Bryson a lot tighter on the inside, Propsicle carrying more speed, those pilots picking their lines as to how it suits them. Bryson comes out of all of that turn and the corkscrew is just practically ahead of Propsicle, but had trouble going into the ladder. really messed up on the right-hand one. Is 1.6 seconds of falling behind Propsicle. Propsicle untouchable when he's got a lead like this. Surely Bryson's mistake on the ladders just given a lot of points to Quad Force 1. UCFTV a little bit too far behind trying to catch Bryson. At the moment we're into the middle of the race. 2.5 seconds. Bryson behind Propsicle and actually gaining. Bryson closing that gap quite quickly. Got 2 more laps to do it, but back on board with him. He's brought it down to half the gap it was, and maybe even less. And now going into the ladder on the start of lap number 4. Into the second section. Bryson still behind Propsicle, but he's halved it again. It's 0.3 of a second now. This is great racing from Bryson. Towards the back, QTFPV is in third. Ion trying to take third from him and very close to doing so. It nearly did, but it's fighting for third and fourth, switching around back to the front. Half a second between this pilot and Propsicle in front of him. Not much left to go on this fourth lap. We'll go around the pylons and then go to the final one. 0.3 of a second. Propsicle with a lead over Bryson. Ion trying to keep QTFPV behind and QT trying to do something about it. Propsicle's got us there, and Bryson nearly gave up a little bit of time in the block tray gates there. Bryson a little closer than he was, 0.12 of a second, and less now. Into the corkscrews, Bryson chasing Propsicle. Out of the corkscrews, they cross paths. No, it's hit the first of the ladders again for Bryson. It bit him a couple of laps ago. He's lost the chance to take the lead. Propsicle gets it. Can Ion stay ahead of QTFPV on the final turn? He does. It's 5-all again. Just hearing Propsicle say, "We're back, son. We're back." To QTFPV, which is a family relationship we didn't know about, but also a sign of how they're feeling. He doesn't mean back right now. He means back as in the team. I'm seeing fist bumps from Ion and QTFPV around the corner from each other as well. That's exactly why we love these pilots so much, and why I'm always singing their praises. Just telling you how brilliantly competitive they are on a track, and how much camaraderie and respect and so on they have for each other when the goggles come off and the sticks go down. 5-all China Dragons against Quad Force 1. No giving up yet. So we'll see their teammates racing up next. It'll be Hyper and AK Drones, both racing from home. They'll be up against Clone Number 1 and Creator Gamer. And earlier on we had Clone Number 1 racing from home, Creator Gamer here in Abu Dhabi. Creator Gamer struggled to get into that matchup, so there may be a little bit of a weak point here for Hyper and AK Drones to exploit. As Creator Gamer can get back into the swing of things and really start to get this track tamed. Hyper has very much got it dialed in. So, second TV2 could be a chance for Quad Force 1 to stretch a little bit away here. We can kind of expect Hyper to be fighting for the lead. Clone Number 1, we've never seen the best of him yet. Creator Gamer at the top of your screen. Into the first ladder, no problem there. ZS is moving around and AK Drones just starting to lose grip on the front 3 pilots. Now we'll go around the block plate 1, then ZS over the top in second and around the cone. And Hyper is in the lead. Half a second, maybe slightly more over Clone Number 1. AK Drones doing away. Creator Gamer struggling to keep his team in a fight here. Hyper comes out of the first ladder and into the second. He's already put a second behind between him and Clone Number 1. Now they'll come up to the start of lap number 2. Clone Number 1 getting further behind all the time. Whatever Clone Number 1 does, being on board now, it's not tidy enough. Hyper has had very little time, like all of our pilots, to learn this track, but Hyper is getting this one working as they go around the left-hand turn. He's now 2 seconds ahead of Clone Number 1. Clone Number 1 going through the corkscrews. It's not the quickest we've seen, although it is one of the tighter lines. That was pretty tight flying, and that's a little bit of an overshoot on the first ladder, and a little bit hesitant coming out of the second. AK Drones might find himself with an orange drone a little bit closer to him than he would have expected. Might try and give Quad Force 1 a bit more of a share of the point here. It's Clone Number 1 on lap number 3 around the A2RL curve. He's lost a ton of time. So far behind, Hyper has got 6 seconds between him and anybody else. Big AdNet exhibition hall belongs to Hyper right now, 6 seconds ahead. Clone Number 1 isn't going to do anything about that. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like AK Drones is going to do very much about taking second. But Creator Gamer would like to see him lose third. Hyper out in front and just getting ever further away, turn after turn, obstacle after obstacle. Raiden Gamer is now a second or maybe 2 or 3 behind AK Drones. He was in a battle for him. It was less than a second between them. It's not anymore. Raiden Gamer is now way behind. It's all come undone, and we're only on the 4th lap. Hyper's completing the ladders and is going to turn around SW Project, heading towards the ladder to start the 5th lap now, and he's 8 seconds ahead of China Dragon's clone number 1. Clone number 1 going into the ladder. We do have a few of them on this track. It's just all a little bit angular and hesitant. Not quite as good as we've seen from clone number 1 earlier on in the season. This is only the second race of the 4 that these teams are doing. It was 5 points all after the first one. Hyper well ahead of clone number 1 here. If AK Drone slips up, he'd have to do a big crash. Creator Gamer to catch him. It's just about 8 seconds, 5 or 6 seconds now. There's Hyper getting first. Clone number 1 will bring it in to second place for China Dragons. And AK Drones is going to swing around all by himself in third. Creator Gamer limping home in 4th. A clean win for Quad Force 1's Hyper by a long way. Maybe the biggest win we've seen of the day so far. Together with AK Drones hanging on to second, that's 6 points to 4 in favour of Quad Force 1. That gives them a 2-point lead. That is not much when there are 20 points available from 2 big heats that are to follow. But we're seeing here some pilots really getting established. Hyper, Mason Lively, racing from home, has had this track quickly learn. It obviously really suits him. He's flying brilliantly. Propsicle is definitely coming alive on it as well. From the China Dragon side of things, it's a little more hesitant. We're not seeing clone number 1 in his usual fantastic speed. Ion flying better than maybe we have seen him do during Split 2. He's always been good, but it feels like he's rising to the occasion here. Bryson has been phenomenal for that team and so important, but mostly in the first, I was going to say half, maybe 2/3 of Split 2. Creator Gamer, perhaps with the audience around us and here on a live stage, is letting that affect his concentration a little bit, which is somewhat understandable. It's a big deal being right here. Now it's big heat time. 2 points in favour of Quad Force 1. 5 laps, all 8 pilots. Bryson getting involved. That's what China Dragons need to see. Clone number 1 doing something here at the front as well. Ion's had a terrible start. Stops 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Propsicle, Bryson moving in and out of second, third, first, briefly. So close between those 3 pilots. Clone number 1 falling a little bit behind. It's still only lap number 1, but half a second between him and the fight at the front. Bryson has to stay involved. Bryson, Propsicle, side by side. Hyper, 2 tenths ahead of both of them. Feel like another one where Hyper will just stay there and get away. Propsicle trying to make sure he keeps Hyper on his toes. That's good flying from Prop. Hyper went through the corkscrews nicely. Propsicle was doing it really well. Bryson's trying to outfly him and dips a little bit between the 2 ladders, like maybe he was just a little bit unsure of himself. 1/10 of a second. Let's stay with Bryson as he's in the fight here on the start of lap number 3, and he had the lead. Had it for a moment. Now it's 3 seconds away from him. 5 seconds, 6 seconds. This is a disaster for China Dragons. Quad Force 1 were already 2 points ahead of them. Now we got Propsicle, Hyper and QTFPV in the top 3 positions. There's Prop and Hyper going between the 2 ladders and around SW Project ahead to the start of lap number 4. Propsicle then, Hyper cranks it back up into 3rd, but that's because QT has lost a load of time as well. And just as he did so, Bryson crashes and slips, and he is all the way gone. Clone number 1, 8 seconds, 9 seconds behind the lead, 4 seconds or so behind QTFPV for anything more than the 1 point he's currently got in his hands. Of course, 1 in such a huge position here. This basically is going to send China Dragons out. Clone number 1 wants to say something about it. Try to make them fight another day. Propsicle and Hyper have been side by side for so long. Neither of them breaking, neither of them getting put off by the pressure. You just see Prop fly under and then straight across Hyper. We don't see him in the corkscrew as they're side by side. Propsicle now comes out of that corkscrew after flying it so well. 3/10 behind Hyper. That really shows you how well Hyper is flying. It couldn't have got much better for Propsicle. He's second. Clone number 1 does something about it. China Dragons getting third. And QT and Proper, so pleased, as you can see on the screen here at the bottom right. QT getting fourth. Then it's Christ and AK Drones completes it for Quad Force 1. That is 8 points. Quad Force 1, 2 for China Dragons. China Dragons are going to need the big heat of their lives. 19 points to Quad Force 1. It's 11 points to China Dragons. 8 points between them after 3 races that we normally have flown, but we got one more. China Dragons have to get 8 points or more in this final big heat between the two teams. They could come first, second, and fourth, like we just saw the team do for Quad Force 1. You could come first, third, and fourth. Nope, that wouldn't do it. Do all the maths yourselves. China Dragons need pilots in that top 4. They need to have at least 3 of them in there, and sadly, they have not been showing signs of getting some of their pilots anywhere near those positions, let alone when Quad Force 1 are really coming alive here. This incredible journey that the team are on, where they literally could win the Split 2 title, and if they do, they will have done it by eliminating every other team, facing them all and beating them all one at a time in a row. That's the only way Quad Force 1 can win Split 2, and they are 2/5 of the way there. And on the cusp, very likely, of knocking out the 3rd team against them today. China Dragons, 8 points behind. Last big heat is about to come. So, a little bit of chat between our teams, their pilots here in Abu Dhabi, and chatting over comms with pilots who are racing from home. Ion needs to help Create a Gamer get into this game, or China Dragons are going to be leaving it very soon. A lot of pressure on them here in Abu Dhabi, in the center of our stage. A lot of pressure on the pilots from home. Kryson briefly touched the lead in that last race. Instead, we haven't seen the best from him like we have done during Split 2. Touched the lead and then left it long way in front of him after crashing as he did so. So they need Kryson to show. They need Ion to have one of the best races he's ever had. Create a Gamer to really get into this. Clone number 1 has picked up so many wins for China Dragons over this year. Not just Split 2, but Split 1 as well. I've said many times it's the best season they've ever had. It's one of the best seasons he's ever had, personally. They have got to do it right now. And Quad Force 1 are looking very, very unstoppable. China Dragons have to win. Then they need to find a whole load more points as well. QTFPV. To the back, AK Drones, Create a Gamer not too far away. Bryson's the one who's going to lead the charge for China Dragons. He's above Hyper. He's just inside Hyper on that turn. It's Propsicle, Hyper and Kryson all near the front again. Load number 1 in 4th, Iron in 5th, not far behind them, importantly. Doesn't feel like this track is Create a Gamer's kind of track. It doesn't feel like he's going to be in the top 4 for the pilots of China Dragons. Bryson in a fight here. Can't let Hyper and Propsicle be in front of him. Someone from China Dragons has to win. And then they need to find the rest of the points as well. QTFPV still behind. AK Drones behind them now in last place. China Dragons, they can't settle being in the middle. They've got to get to the front. Clone number 1 trying to do something about it for them, and he's gaining a few tenths here and there, but he's got almost 3 seconds worth to do. Into these 4 games, Hyper and Propsicle spreading it nicely. Hyper in front, 1/4 of a second between him and his captain, and starting to stretch. Hyper might get away from Propsicle here. Ion's gone to the front of China Dragons. The front, I mean, 3rd best pilot that they've got here at the moment. Price is clone number 1. Nobody doing anything about the seconds out between them and the pairing of Quad Force 1. It doesn't look like they can do it today. It does look like Quad Force 1 will be leaving the first day of the Split 2 final, looking forward to racing at the start of day 2. And it is a different track tomorrow. Same location, the Adnec Exhibition Hall, but a different layout, different gates, different track. Still only 1 hour for all these pilots to learn it. Just before we go live at 8 PM local time, 4 PM UTC. Hyper's been absolutely again and again, dragging so many points for his team. His race, and today really has been quad force one. Not where they wanted to be, being in the elimination zone, but that's the only place they could be after finishing the season leaderboard where they did. Since then they've done everything they have to do. Hyper with the win, Propsicle with second, 7 seconds, maybe 5 or 6. It's Christ in third, and Ion fourth. They'll pick up 3 points for that. Quad Force 1 pick up 7 more, and another win, and another team falls to the Americans. This time it's China Dragons. 26 points to 14. Quad Force 1 put another team to the sword. This time it's China Dragons. I shall move. I don't even need to look.
Yes, sir.
Don't even need to look.
Third one. I should hope I know what I'm doing at this point. Oh, all right.
Hi, Matt Andrews.
Good to see you again, Matt. Well, no, it's been a second, actually. It's been like at least 10 minutes, I think.
Okay.
Pretty good. What about you?
Oh my god, we carry on. The journey surely now feels like destiny. Like you could actually do a sweep of everybody. We'll get there one stage at a time. China Dragons.
I mean, that one win. I mean, it feels like we're just ramping up as we go. I think that was our best win yet, like points-wise. So, like, I mean, we're starting to feel it. Cutie hit a PB in practice and then flew amazing and got that third that was so important to us. Or was it 1-2? I don't remember at this point. There's too much happening. Yeah. So he locked up, which was amazing. Like, that's what we've been looking for. Like, he was just saying, yeah, I just need that one. I need to get a little warmed up, and then I'm in there. And he did exactly that. And then Mason, I don't know what Mason took, but he is wired right now. It's funny because I was giving him a hard time about not practicing for this race because he was flying other sims or doing other stuff, and I was like, Mason, you have to be on DCL. We need to be practicing. Like, this is going to be like the biggest DCL race of the year. He was like, he just told me, he was like, don't worry, I'll be yodeled, which I don't know what that means. Yodeled. Yodeled. I don't know what that means. No, not yodel. No, not Yoda. Not yoked. Yodeled. So I'm not sure what that means. I'm still trying to figure that out. But I think he's fulfilling his promise because he's been on. Mason has been wired today. Like, I cannot think of the last time I've had, like, I guess, dynamic duo in a sense in these big heats where it's just me and him back and forth, just pacing off each other, finishing up these heats, bringing in that one too. Like, it's been incredible.
Is there ever a time when you've got another drone so close to you, flashing across your view every now and then? Does that ever put you off? Is that ever a challenge? I guess it depends on which.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when I see a blue drone doing that, I'm very excited because I'm like, yes, that's what I want to see. I want to see people from on my team ahead of me and pacing with me. Like, that's exactly what I want to see. When it's a team or a drone from another team, like, obviously it's a little worrying, but in another sense, I almost like seeing that because it gives me a metric of how close they are to me or if they're a little ahead. Because when they're behind you, you have no idea how much of a gap you have unless one of your teammates is calling it. And in those big heats, since it's all 4 of us flying, we don't really have anyone to call timing for us. So at least for me, if I see a drone flash in front of me and then I have a couple of really good turns, I can kind of calculate that gap in my head. And I think it's honestly really helpful. I've gotten used to it to the point where it doesn't really fluster me. I'm just kind of like, okay, I see they want a piece of this, so I'm going to pick it up a little bit and close this out.
Let me ask you a little bit more of a personal question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
This year, I feel like I've seen a different year than previous years. I've seen more of a sit down a kind of a. What was it you said? Hi, my name's Propsicle and welcome to my master.
Yeah.
The races. There's a lot of bravado coming from you this year. What's going on?
I mean, I'm kind of just, I'm here to put on a show. Like, I think I'm one of the best at this game, and so I'm going to show it. I'm going to talk like that. I'm going to give teams crap like that. Like, if I think you're not performing very good, or I think I just beat you by a lot, I'm going to tell you that. Like, just straight up. Like, I think so many people hold back or aren't completely honest with a lot of teams or, like, how they're acting or their reactions. Like, I'm just here to show it all. I'm here to put on a show and, like, do my very best. So.
You know that stuff can come back and bite you, though. You still got to deliver.
It absolutely can, and I've definitely had that happen a few times, but for me it's even more motivation. If I'm kind of talking my crap, I need to back that up now, so it's pushing me like, hey, I just said that thing, or for instance, even against Spain drone team, I think I looked over at my monitor and I said, yeah, give me more. So I was like, okay, now I have to close this out because I can't let that happen. So I don't know, I love putting on a show, and at the end of the day, it's all like good fun. You know, I'm great friends with these guys, so I don't know.
Yeah. It's working for you. Quad Force 1 having a well, it wasn't working brilliantly through the season, let's say, but it's definitely working for you here. One more question, because you've been racing next to China Dragons. I'm seeing fist bumps between Ion and QT between one of the races. I love that about you guys. And then you had SDT, and I think after the first race against SDT, which you won, their managers were congratulating you on what a good race. Tell me more about this kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, it's everyone here is like amazing, humble competitors. Like it's so true. Everyone says like the best part of drone racing is the community, and that is so true. Everyone's here for like everyone's wins, everyone's losses. Like everyone wants to see you succeed, and they also want to see themselves succeed, like at the same level almost. So it's amazing to see teams lose and still be like happy for you and excited for you. Like I think it's genuinely one of the best parts of drone racing. Everyone here is such great friends. Between races or even during practice, we all kind of just goofing around, walking around the mall, like looking around. Like it's an amazing part of this community.
We had a keyboard race.
Yeah, we did have a keyboard race. I was awful at it. I think I placed last. Don't put me on a keyboard. I'm gonna stick with my radio, I think.
Seems to be working for you. Don't turn it. See you 8 o'clock tomorrow.
Yeah.
You'll be watching the first match, which will be X-Blades against Cyclone in the upper bracket, I think. Then you've got to knock out one of them, and then you've got to knock out the other.
Yeah, I mean,
all in a weekend.
if this is the start to a dream run, like I'm all for it. Like I genuinely cannot wait. Like this today has gone better than I ever could have imagined. And again, like I said, we're just gonna carry this momentum. We're gonna keep running with this confidence, this feeling. So just working on that and like I don't care who goes down to that lower bracket. I will take on either of them. Like yeah.
You're gonna try and win a title at the end of it.
Yeah.
If the next race was now, you'd be just let's go again, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's funny, is it midnight local time now? Yeah, midnight local time. I have never felt more awake this weekend. Like there is so much adrenaline pumping through me. I'm ready to go. Yeah, honestly, if we had more matches, I'd be like, all right, let's go. Grid it up.
Your place back?
Oh my, it's 10 hours ahead, I want to say, so it's around what, 2 p.m. there? Is that right?
10 minus 6 over there, so 10. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like
1:45. Thank you.
So it's early afternoon.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure some of my family is probably watching, so that's always really special. I love I don't know, my family is so supportive of me, so that's really cool to see. I mean, obviously I have my exactly. He's been a huge help, and my mom and my siblings are really my biggest cheerleaders. So it's nice to have a race where they can actually watch in local time, because so many of these DCL races, because of the time zones, like they can't really watch unless they're waking up at like 4 a.m., which I would not tell them to do. But yeah.
Right. Well, I will let you carry your wired, excited self to somewhere because there's no more racing. You have to wait, but.
Yeah, appreciate it, Matt.
Hey,
yeah.
I hope it continues for you. I really do. I would love to see it happen. So there's Aaron here. I'm going to push him out. He's in a chair.
Yeah, just getting rolled out.
Look at that. That's excellent. Wish that would happen more often. Right, so that is the end of today's racing. 5 matchups here. Tomorrow we have our 2 semi-finals and our grand final, and they're going to be even bigger, as the 2 semi-finals, if you like to call it that, are going to be 2v2s and a 2v2, and then another 2v2 with a different set of pairings, and then another 2v2. There will be 4 2v2s and 2 4v4 big heats as well. That's what we're going to do with X-Blades against Cyclone, and then we'll do all that with Quad Force 1 against the loser of X-Blades and Cyclone. Then it's the grand final, and that one's even bigger. So make sure you join us live from 8 p.m. here in Abu Dhabi, which is Gulf Standard Time, which is 4 hours ahead of UTC. If you're chanting and cheering on Team Propsicle, then you need to be here at 10 o'clock in the morning. Thank you very much. And everybody else, you can work out where you need to be. 4 p.m. UTC, 8 p.m. Gulf Standard Time. Join me, Matt Andrews, and this whole wonderful team of pilots and the Drone Champions League. We bring you the final day of Split 2. 3 teams remain. One of them's our champion. Join us tomorrow to find out who.